It was a completely normal morning. I went into the kitchen, like every day. And then I looked down, to give him his food. My hand had already opened the drawer. The thought was already finished. And then, a fraction of a second later, reality caught up with me. He is no longer there. I know that. And yet my body has forgotten. This forgetting, this tiny moment, is the cruelest thing grief knows. In this video, I explain why your brain keeps driving you into this moment. And I'll show you, this is not a mistake. This is one of the deepest forms of love. Stay tuned, because you will look at this pain differently after this video. First, what exactly happens in your brain in this moment, second by second? Second, why this reflex doesn't stop, even when you've known it for a long time. Third, what these mini moments of forgetting say about your bond. And at the end, why forgetting is not a betrayal but a proof. You know this moment. I don't have to explain it to you, you've experienced it yourself. Maybe you called his name, before you could catch yourself. Maybe you made room on the sofa, so he could sit down. Maybe you saw a photo and thought, I have to show him this. And then, this sting. This second in which reality returns. It's like a small awakening into the wrong reality. Every single time. And the strange thing is, it doesn't just happen once. It happens over and over again. Sometimes daily. Sometimes weekly. Sometimes even after months. And every time when this moment comes, you ask yourself, why do I still forget this? Today I will give you the answer. And it will surprise you. Your brain doesn't work like a computer. It doesn't just delete old files. Instead, it works with expectation patterns, deeply built-in predictions about what comes next. Every time you went into the kitchen, he was there. Every time. Hundreds, maybe thousands of times. Your brain has built a prediction from this. This prediction is not a thought. It is deeper. It is automatic. It is physical. Neuroscientists call this predictive coding, anticipatory processing. Your brain is always telling you what will come next, even before you consciously know it. And this prediction is, he is there. He is waiting. He is coming right now. This expectation is not deleted by knowledge. Not even by weeks of knowledge. Because knowledge sits in the frontal lobe, conscious thinking. But expectation sits deeper, in the cerebellum, in the brainstem, in the basal ganglia. That is the part that controls habits. That follows rituals. That doesn't ask, that just does. And this part, it doesn't know yet. It learns slowly. Very slowly. Every time you go into the kitchen and he isn't there, the prediction is corrected a little bit. But that takes time. A lot of time. Sometimes months. Sometimes longer. Researchers have measured this exactly. On average, it takes over a year for these expectation patterns to change significantly. A year in which your body learns a little bit every day, but also loses again every day. That sounds harsh. But it is also a sign, you had something that was worth mourning for a year. And during this time, in exactly these moments, you do the most important grief work there is. Not through conscious thinking, not through conversations, but through simply experiencing these moments. And in the meantime, this forgetting happens, over and over again. I call these moments grief flashes, little flashes where love is still faster than pain. Because in this fraction of a second, before reality hits, you are back with him. You love him right now. You are thinking of him. You are expecting him. He exists in your world. And then reality takes this second away from you again. That is the cruelest part of it. Not the knowledge that he is gone. But the constant new losing, in tiny moments, over and over again. Have you experienced this? Write it to me in the comments. Which moment surprised you the most, this small instant of forgetting? I read every single entry. And I promise you, you are not alone in this. Now I want to tell you about a woman, I'll call her Maria. Maria lost her dog after 14 years. A dachshund named Bruno. 6 months after his death, she caught herself putting dog biscuits in the shopping cart. Automatically, without thinking, her hand just did it. Only at the checkout, when she put the biscuits on the belt, did she realize what she had done. She left the biscuits there and went to the car. And there she cried like on the first day. 6 months later. Still this reflex. Still this pain. That is not weakness. That is not an inability to mourn. That is the brain that loved deeper than consciousness can describe. Because here is the truth about these moments, the truth that hardly anyone speaks out loud. Forgetting happens most often to those who have loved most deeply. The deeper the routine, the deeper the bond, the deeper the prediction in the brain. And the more often, and the more violently, this sting when reality comes back. That means, if you know this moment, if you know it regularly, then you know now what it means. It means, you were truly connected. Not just superficially. Deeply. Deep enough that your body still expects him. Deep enough that the brain still won't let go. And now I want to tell you something a grief researcher once shared with me. These moments of forgetting are not setbacks. They are not a sign that you are not healing. They are the echo of a love that was greater than a single moment can hold. Let that sink in. You don't forget because you are weak. You forget because you loved so strongly. And your brain, it's not slow. It is just faithful. Faithful to what was. It holds on. It preserves. It still expects him. Because he was worth expecting. Now I want to tell you about a second moment, the hardest of all. Not the moment in the kitchen. Not the grocery shopping. But waking up. Some people report, the worst moment is the first second after sleeping. This second when you are not quite awake yet. When everything still seems possible. And then comes the first conscious thought. And with it, the memory. This transition, from the world with him to the world without him, new every morning. I know that many of you know this moment. And I want to tell you, this too is normal. This too is neurobiology. During sleep, the prefrontal cortex, conscious thinking, partially suspends its function. The expectation patterns remain. The knowledge sleeps along. The expectation does not. That's why this first moment of awakening can be so full of him. And that's why the first conscious thought afterwards is so hard. But here too is something true that I want to give you. With time, not immediately, but with time, this transition changes. It doesn't become less real, but it becomes gentler. It becomes shorter. And someday, you will wake up and the first thing you think of will be something you did together. Not with pain, with warmth. And you will realize, he is still there. Just differently. That is the path that grief takes. No straight path. No easy path. But a path that leads to something. To a remembering that no longer destroys, but carries. And for this remembering, exactly these moments of forgetting are necessary. Because in every single one of these moments, a small piece of expectation is gently rebuilt. Not deleted. Rebuilt. Into something that stays. And in the end, when this rebuilding is complete, you will still expect him. Only no longer with pain. But with gratitude. With the quiet knowing, he was here. I loved him. He loved me. That was real. That remains. Write to me now, in which moment did you forget that he is no longer there? Which moment surprised you the most? Let us all know. I read every comment. And your story deserves to be heard. And if you share this video with someone who is currently in this pain, then you know why.